The bank heist of the century, how thieves stole $70 million without firing a shot. 2005. A group of thieves pulled off one of the most unbelievable crimes in modern history. They didn't use guns, they didn't threaten anyone, and they didn't even enter through the front door. Instead, they dug a secret tunnel, 200 feet long, leading straight into the heart of a bank vault. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it's over 160 million Brazilian reais, roughly $70 million had vanished. No alarms, no witnesses, no violence, just gone. How do you steal millions without anyone noticing? And more importantly, how do you get away with it? This is the story of the Banco Central burglary, a crime so precise, so carefully planned, it still confuses investigators to this day. It happened in the city of Fortaleza, inside a branch of the Banco Central do Brasil. What makes this heist extraordinary isn't just the amount stolen, it's how it was done. A fake business, months of preparation, engineering-level precision, and a team that operated like ghosts. But behind this perfect crime lies a deeper story of ambition, intelligence, and one fatal mistake. Fortaleza, Brazil. Early 2000s. A growing city, full of movement, commerce, and opportunity. But beneath the surface, another world was quietly taking shape. Organized crime in Brazil was evolving, becoming more strategic, more patient, and far more sophisticated. This wasn't about quick robberies anymore. This was about long-term planning. And somewhere in the city, a group of criminals had an idea, not just to rob a bank, but to outsmart the system entirely. In 2004, landscaping company appeared near the central bank building. It seemed ordinary. Workers came and went. Trucks delivered soil. Tools were carried in and out. Nothing unusual. But this business had a secret. It wasn't planting gardens. It was digging a tunnel. At first, the operation looked simple. Rent a property near the bank. Avoid suspicion. Work quietly. But what they were attempting was anything but simple. The tunnel had to be precise. It stretched nearly 200 feet, about the length of a football field. And it wasn't just a hole in the ground. It was reinforced with wood and plastic. It had lighting, ventilation systems, even a system to remove dirt without raising suspicion. The team worked for 3 days, day after day, night after night. They dug through soil, stone, and underground obstacles, and somehow, no one noticed. To avoid suspicion, they disguised their activity as landscaping work. Truckloads of dirt were explained away as part of the business. Neighbors saw workers tease, but never questioned them. It was the perfect cover. But digging the tunnel was only half the challenge. The real target was the vault. Inside the central bank were stacks of cash, millions of reais. But here's the detail most people don't know. These weren't fresh banknotes. They were old, worn bills scheduled for destruction. Untraceable, unmarked, which made them the perfect target. The thieves knew this. They weren't just stealing money. They were stealing money that couldn't be tracked. As the tunnel got closer to the bank, the risk increased. One wrong move, and everything would collapse. Literally, they had to calculate the exact location of the vault. Floor. To shallow end, they'd miss. To deep end, the tunnel could cave in. But somehow, they got it right. On the night of August 6th, 2005, they made their move. They broke through the vault floor. No alarms went off. No guards noticed. For hours, they worked inside the vault quietly, methodically. They didn't rush. They didn't panic. They simply took what they came for. Cash, tacked into containers, carried through the tunnel, and transported out. By morning, the vault was empty. The heist wasn't discovered immediately. In fact, it took 2 full days. When bank employees returned after the weekend, found a hole in the vault floor. And millions missing. The reaction was instant: shock, confusion, and disbelief. How could something like this happen? No alarms, no forced entry, no witnesses. When authorities discovered the tunnel, they realized the scale of the operation. This wasn't a random crime. This was a masterpiece of planning. The tunnel was clean, professional, almost surgical. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Brazilian authorities launched a massive investigation. Hundreds of officers, dozens of leads, and slowly, the truth began to emerge. The landscaping company was fake. The workers were part of a coordinated team, and the operation had been funded well in advance. One of the key figures linked to the heist was Luiz Fernando Ribeiro. But as investigators dug deeper, they realized something even more troubling. This wasn't just a small group. It was a network, organized, disciplined, and prepared. But then, a mistake changed everything. Despite the precision of the heist, not all the money disappeared cleanly. Some of it started to circulate. Large amounts of cash suddenly appearing, spending patterns that didn't match. And that's when investigators began tracking suspects. One by one, arrests were made. Some members of the group were caught, others vanished, and a portion of the money was recovered, but not all of it. In fact, a large percentage of the stolen cash was never found. To this day, millions remain missing. The impact of the heist was enormous. It exposed serious flaws in bank security. It showed that even the most secure institutions could be vulnerable, and it changed how banks around the world think about physical security. Cut to vault door closing. But beyond the technical lessons, there was something deeper. This heist wasn't driven by desperation. It wasn't impulsive. It was calculated, carefully, engineered, and executed with patience, which raises an uncomfortable question. How many other systems could be broken this way? The Banco Central heist remains one of the most fascinating crimes in history, not because of violence, but because of intelligence. It wasn't chaos, it was control. A group of people who outhawed the system, and for a moment, they won. But in the end, no plan is perfect. Every system has a flaw, and every crime leaves a trace, even if it takes years to find it. But the story doesn't end with the arrests, because even after years of investigation, one question never fully disappeared. Where did the rest of the money go? Authorities managed to recover part of the stolen cash. Some suspects were arrested. Some were sentenced, but millions of reais simply vanished. No bank accounts, no clear transactions, no obvious trail. It was as if a large portion of the money had dissolved into thin air. Investigators believe the missing cash was slowly filtered into different parts of the economy, small amounts at a time, carefully spent, carefully moved. A purchase here, a payment there, nothing large enough to raise alarms, because the people behind the heist understood something very important. Big crimes don't stay hidden when they move fast. They stay hidden when they move slowly. And that's exactly what may have happened. Over the years, investigators continued to chase new leads. Phone records were analyzed. Financial transactions were reviewed. Former associates were questioned. but organized groups like this rarely leave a clean trail. They operate through layers, contacts, middlemen, and sometimes those layers disappear before the truth can reach them. Even today, some investigators believe that not everyone involved was ever identified, which means the real number of people behind the heist might have been larger than the public ever knew. More planners, more helpers, more silent participants who were never caught. And that possibility makes the crime even more unsettling, because it suggests something bigger than just a group of thieves. It suggests a network capable of planning patiently, waiting silently, and striking only once the moment was perfect. And when you look back at the operation, skiers, the level of discipline becomes almost unbelievable. 3 months of digging, no noise complaints, no suspicious reports, no accidental discoveries. A tunnel stretching nearly 200 feet beneath a busy city is constructed without anyone noticing, day after day, night after night. While the world above carried on as usual, people walked the streets, cars passed by, businesses opened and closed, and beneath it all, a hidden operation was quietly moving forward. That level of patience is rare. Most crimes happen quickly, impulsively, but this one was different. It was slow, calculated, methodical, and that may be the reason it worked, because systems are designed to stop sudden threats, loud threats, obvious threats, but silent threats, patient threats. Those are much harder to detect, which is why the Banco Central heist continues to fascinate investigators, journalists, and criminologists even today, not just because of the money, but because of what it revealed about human planning. It showed that intelligence, patience, and coordination can sometimes bypass even the strongest defenses. So the next time you walk past a bank, remember this: the biggest heists don't happen in seconds. They happen in silence, underground, where no one is looking. And if a tunnel like this could exist, it's right beneath one of the most secure banks in the world, what else might be happening just out of sight?